Good morning. A pleasant morning to everyone who are physically present with us, and of course to all our participants who are virtually present through our Zoom and YouTube platforms. And welcome to our second day breakout session on understanding government procurement patterns for better supplier participation, online blacklisting portal, and automation of procurement report forms. Brought to you by none other than our Government Procurement Policy Board Technical Support office or our GPPB TSO. So with that, I'm Lovell Sagid from the University of the Philippines, Manila campus, and I will be your moderator facilitator for this morning. So let us all stand, please, and put ourselves in the presence of our Lord.
Let us bow our heads and put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering all of us today. May you bestow your guidance and blessings so that we can enjoy and appreciate its significance in our lives. Bless everyone who are present here today, that each one of us may be able to share our knowledge, understanding, and wisdom for your glory and honor. May the various activities related to this event be a success through your intervention. We all ask of this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Let us all take our seats. Thank you very much po. So before we get started, allow me to make a few reminders. First, please do not forget to register. Have we all registered na po ba? From our online platforms, I hope we have registered already. And for those who have not yet registered, please approach the Secretariat table and our colleagues from the GPP BTSO who will be very much pleasant to assist you. And also, please be informed that this session is being recorded and simultaneously recorded in our official Facebook and YouTube pages. There is an allotted time for question and answer. All your questions related to this learning session shall be accommodated by our resource speaker during the open forum. For our participants on site, we have requested to make use of the microphones, and we appreciate if you can please state your name and affiliation before asking the question. And to properly manage our time for our virtual platforms participants, microphone will be muted throughout the entire session. Again, for our Zoom participants, please do not drop your please drop your questions in the Zoom chat box and our official Slido account. You can change your names using the required format, and that is your company or agency name underscore your full name for us to properly identify and monitor your attendance. Again, for our Facebook and YouTube live viewers, you may also participate and send your questions through the comment sections. So another reminder po, an e-certificate of participation shall be provided via email. The GPPBTSO will be sending it through you. And let us all wear our mask at all times. And finally, to commemorate this event, participants shall be asked for a group photo towards the end of the program. So there you go. Are we excited, Nat, to learn this morning? Are we? Yes. So with that, it is my pleasure to introduce our resource speaker. She is the Procurement Management Officer 5 and currently the officer in charge of the Performance Monitoring Division of the Government Procurement Policy Board Technical Support Office with experience in procurement planning, procurement performance monitoring, and evaluation for more than 11 years. She graduated Bachelor of Public Administration and Governance in 2006 from the Polytechnic University of the Philippines and presently pursuing a Master's in Development Management degree under the Public Management Development Program of the Development Academy of the Philippines. Without much further ado, let us all welcome Chief Katrina L. Paala.
Hello and good morning. How are you today? I'm sure you're looking forward to this weekend. So since we're having a long weekend, right? So basically, I'm going to start my presentation with let's go over the topic. All right. So our topic for today is understanding government procurement patterns for better supplier participation, online blacklisting portal, and automation of procurement reports. Have you heard or have you used any of these or any of these terminologies familiar to you? How many among you have used the online blacklisting portal or have logged into it or have seen it? Can I have a show of hands? Wow. All right. So that may be the reason that you're joining this session, right? So basically, when we say understanding government procurement patterns, what do we refer to in this topic? So we refer to the understanding government procurement patterns in terms of data analytics. As we all know, data is everywhere. As early as waking up, deciding what time you wake up in the morning, you're already processing information, 'di ba? Mentally. So that means when you plan your day, you're also doing what? An analysis of what you're going to do. And how do you do the analysis? You have to have information around you. And with all this information that we list in our minds, right? We tend to what? Remember some of the data or information that you wanted to analyze or explore. So it's all one of the classic example is the traffic. You know how congested EDSA was, right? Or EDSA is right now. And how many among you are traversing this road every day in your daily commute? So do you know how many vehicles in average traversing EDSA every day? 387,000. And the official capacity of this road is how many? Well, according to the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, it's just 300,000. So that's how congested it is. But there are times that it's not congested, right? So you know the rush hours and outside the rush hours. So how do you organize your daily schedule with this commute, no? And all of the activities that you're doing? And even in ordering food, no, we also use data. We check nutritional contents. We also check whether we are allergic to that food or not. How do we know that we're allergic? There's a triggering reaction within our body, right? So we observe, no? And these observations are also part of information in the data that you process every day. And it's also including as serious as getting the stock market information for those who are regularly investing. They also use data. All right. So applying procurement data here. So what is procurement data analytics? So it is a science of analyzing raw procurement data to observe, describe, infer, or make conclusions about a certain information. So any procurement information, for as long as you validate it and it's verified to be accurate or correct or accurate to the best of the knowledge of the source, no, can be subjected to some data analytics techniques to get insights that can be used to improve the procurement system or improve a particular process. It may also be used to improve policies, no, in relation to procurement, no, determine which part of the process may be experiencing bottlenecks, and from there start on analyzing scenarios on how to do to make it what we can do to make it more efficient. And then this information can also be harnessed to optimize compliance and performance and even to increase the overall efficiency of a procurement system, especially for the procuring entities here gathered today. I'm sure that you also always have a set of procurement data to analyze and monitor every day. No? Every procurement activity that you have to monitor the progress, no? Get information. So in this way, procurement data analytics can also help the bidders. In what manner? No? So bidders, supply officers, and maybe even other interested parties, even in the academy, academe, no? um, may be able to understand government procurement activity patterns using the data within the supply chain. So let's talk of levels of the data analytics and how our office, the GPPB TSO, or the Government Procurement Policy Board Technical Support Office, particularly our division, no, apply data analytics and use it and process procurement information. So most of the time, there are certain procuring entities who are asking, what do you do when we submit our procurement reports? Have you ever wondered what the GPPB TSO is doing to all those reports? How many reports are you preparing related to procurement in a year? How do we start? How do we start our report? As early as January, we have a deliverable, right? So what is that deliverable or what is that report? APP, ayun. No? Annual Procurement Plan. And then, after a semester covering procurement activities from January to June, we now submit PMR, Procurement Monitoring Reports. Ay, puro reports, no? Nakaka-stress. It may be tedious for some. It may be too bulky for some. And it's always a massive information, especially if the procuring entities have voluminous procurement activities and procurement projects to be processed. And then predictive is what is going to happen. And then the prescriptive will be what should be done next. So actually, if you look into several references into this levels of data analytics, some of the references may refer to them as types of data analytics. Some refer to this as techniques. No? But in terms of procurement data, I think this may be the best classification of these methods. No? It's referred to as levels. Okay. So, descriptive data analytics is the most basic data level of analytics because we usually do what? We usually do observation and reporting. No? So many procuring entities and even the GPPBTSO spends much time on this. No? Di ba nga po, no? Preparation pa lang. Diba? And we prepare consolidated reports from targeted sources and present on what happened in the past. So it's just like a snapshot, no? A picture, no? Of what's happening. So it just answers the question what. No? So although in the world of analytics, this is the essential for decision making, but of course this is just the first step because you just make observations. You have just the data in front of you. No? And in order to get beyond the initial observations and dive into insightful analysis, we will move on to the next level. But I'll give to you the example of descriptive data analytics. So dashboards like this one, no? How many among you have access to the GPPB online portal? None yet. All right. So we process na the data in the GPPB online portal into these visuals. No? So with this, no, we're able to describe no what's happening. So like in this example, so we know the percentage of the users visiting the portal, and then top cities. to have an alarming number of coronavirus cases is also there. Then, um, also the information on user access, no, and other things. No. You can find it there in the GPTB online portal dashboard. So we make use of dashboards in order for us to create or translate a raw data into something that is visual, more observable. And from there, no, we can describe, no, make descriptions. So same with this one. Is it familiar to you? So we also have GPTB procurement dashboard. So this is the dashboard in 2019. It shows to you the summary of the data that we have for in relation to procurement. So we have the procurement success rates, yeah. And from there you also have the top 3 risks based on the data provided by the targeted agencies. And so when we speak of dashboards, we think of descriptive analytics. So when we go to the diagnostic data analytics, it now leads us to why and get to the what is making it happen. No? So it's a sort of like when you're sick and you want to go to the doctor, no? You have observable symptoms already. No? And then the doctor will process those symptoms and come up with a diagnostic. No? So it's we move beyond an observation like whether the chart is trending up and down and get to the what is making it happen. No? So why is the trend up moving upwards or downwards? rate yet to that extent, no. But maybe in the next future, no, in the near future, we can come up with this algorithms so that it will be able to predict, no, using predictive analytics. So prescriptive is the most powerful and the final phase where the data itself already prescribes what must be done. So ito prescriptive na talaga. The data itself will tell you what to do next. Diba? So high-end siya. So prescriptive analytics exists at a very advanced level, and that is the most powerful and final phase. No, it encompasses the why, no, the real why, no, of analytics. So it's when the data presented prescribes what should be done, and data-driven decision making is tied, no, into this two levels of analytics in front of you. No? And it will also provide to you information on what you should be doing. Okay? So it builds on predictive by informing decision makers about different decision choices with their anticipated impact on a specific key performance indicator. No? So ganun siya talaga. No? So think of the first three levels of analytics. You have your description on what has happened, followed by diagnosing why, and then you end up predicting what will happen. And just imagine if you allow the data and the analytics already prescribe your next step. No? So, medyo ano na yun, high level. So going back to the descriptive analytics, no, the patterns and trends from the procurement data leads bidders and procuring entities alike to make smarter, better, and well-informed decisions. So just like the decision to wake up at particular time in the morning, like what I mentioned earlier, bidders will be able to decide when, where, and which will be the best time to offer goods and services at the right price. Okay? So using the data provided by the agencies to you, no, so if there are any bidders participating here, no, you'll be able to determine or plan, no, which agency or organization would you want to participate in, and how much is the demand level. So at what particular period of the year you need to provide more, no, or produce more because of the government demand, no. Because in the government, no, as bulk procurers, di ba, most of the time we procure by bulk, di ba? And we have the resources and the funds to what? Conduct procurement activities that are of high value and high volume, di ba? So that is why, no, the information that we have is important for the bidders as well. And even the raw data, by the way, no, as good as the information, the annual procurement plans of the agencies, since it is openly and posted in the website of the procuring entities, no, they can check it and see when these items will be needed. No? So what is the example of the descriptive analytics that we're currently doing? So with the information that we have and process in the performance monitoring division, we check. It's not moving. Next slide na. Ayan. Which stage of procurement failures of bidding occur. No? So we'll be able to identify patterns. And based on the chart that we have here, most of the failures of bidding occurs during the opening of bids. So it's more likely that there may be issues with the eligibility, no? Or there may be an instance where the bidders did not participate at all. Walang bidders, no? Or bidders may be unresponsive during bid evaluation or post-qualification, and there may be cancellations. Right, no? So that's how we process. So in conclusion, procuring entities shall ensure the readiness of projects and completeness of its procurement-related documents even before the commencement of the procurement process. So at the planning stage, you have to have the complete information, no, pertaining to the procurement project. And all actors in the procurement shall ensure the readiness of the procurement, as this will not only expedite the conduct of procurement itself, but as well as the implementation of the projects, leading to accelerated disbursements and efficient budget utilization. So you know the pattern wherein the spending of an agency may be determined on how timely the procurement projects are. So because if you are able to procure those procurement projects on time, you'll be able to implement the contract on time, and therefore the agency will be able to disburse funds on time as programmed. No? So we have to make sure that we plan it well. Now, what do you see on the screen? We have top common use supplies and equipment consistently required from 2019 to 2021. So these are the common use supplies and equipment which have been required by agencies consistently. No? Meaning, from 2019 to 2021, andyan lang yon sa kanilang, or pinoprocure nila yon talaga. No? So in 2020, the top CSE consistently required is, surprisingly, is the Impact Dot Matrix printer in 2020. And we all know that the pandemic started, or the public health emergency started when? It's also in 2020, right? So what may be the conclusion there? Why at the amount, no? Although we are basing it on the amount, not the volume itself, no? But the amount is about 1.4 billion, if I'm not mistaken. 1.4 billion. So it may be the most necessary equipment. How? Probably to print modules, right? Diba? Or because of the alternative work arrangements that we had at that time, we need to print something from the office. Because admit it, no? If you're on the screen or looking at the screen most of the time, what will happen to your eyes? Socket, di ba? And there are certain people, no, myself included, no, is more, no, is more on um more effective in reviewing materials if it's printed. No? So it's more efficient as well, 'di ba? Kasi you can note your corrections, no? You can do the handwriting instead of the PDFs or the portable document formats, no? And sometimes you can't even edit that, no? Hindi mo ma-edit 'yun. But of course, there are applications or PDF readers that have resources to edit. Pero how long will you learn about it, 'di ba? Bigla na lang tayong nagkaroon ng alternative work arrangements. So it's really a big adjustment for us, no? And there you go, the procurement of dot matrix printers. But at the same year, no, what is the top two, or what item is the top two there? All right. The bigger chunk in 2020. 2020, I'm mentioning 2020 because it's the highest. No? If you look at the middle color, that's the 2020 procurement. No? It's a lot. No? Especially in terms of what? In terms of amount, no? Most of the items that were bought during that time is, the next in line is the fire extinguisher. That I'm not sure why. But of course, fire extinguishers are very important for first aid, firefighting readiness, and emergency situations. But yeah, it's valued at 451.4 million. Okay. And then the next would be documentary envelopes. There. Ayan. Asan na yun? Ayun. No? So it's the next most common use supply required, valued at 165.8 million in 2019 and 280.8 million in 2021. Okay, so consistent talaga siya nabibili. So maybe because when you submit, diba, not all agencies wants to or preferred digital signature at the time. So how do you transmit your files, no? So more likely, that's why envelopes are really a necessity because you want to send something to your office. No? If you're working from home, you have a deliverable that you want to submit, no? Especially if it's an urgent submission, you want to have a print out of it and then you put it in the envelope and send the parcel. So maybe, that's the one of the reasons. So that's why it's very interesting to note, because when you look at the data, you can infer, and make stories out of it. That's how interesting it is. So I do hope procuring entities will be able to um, get interested, with the procurement data, because from there you'll be able to gauge your performance as well. So what else? All right. So what's in front of you is the awarded versus not awarded projects in 2019 to 2020. So this using one of our procurement monitoring and evaluation tool, the Agency Procurement Compliance and Performance Indicator. I do hope that most of the agencies already use it and it's already familiar to them. No? So in 2019, the total contracts awarded accounts to 70.37%. While the awarded value is at while the not awarded, the not awarded value is at 29.63%. So nag-round off na kami dito. Ayan. So what can we recommend for procuring entities? So we have to ensure that we have the sufficient capacity to ensure that all planned procurement activities are awarded or completed on time. And we have to make a more realistic and pragmatic approach to planning. Gone are the days that we can just copy and paste the previous plans of the previous years. Diba? We don't do that anymore because what? Syempre, because our funds are based on actual disbursements. No? Your disbursements or the record or your budget utilization will provide to you a picture of your absorptive capacity, di ba? So if you have very low spending, what will we think about it? No? How will we process it? If you have low spending, it means that you're getting the budget more, you wanted it more, but in a realistic picture, you can't implement it all. Hey, no? So you have to consider all those factors and you already have to, using the data or historical data of your agency, check your budget utilization and see where or in what period you'll be able to hit the target. No? So as early as the first semester, you have to have your targets already. No? That's why if you look at the deliverables, we require the procurement monitoring report, after the first semester. And then from there, from that information, you must be able to know how to catch up with the rest of the year. No? And we have to discipline ourselves to just plan and limit our procurement planning to just a year. No? Make sure that at the closing of the year, lahat nabili na. No? At lahat kailangan. No? Kasi, di ba, why would you propose a funding or a financial support for something that's not important, for something that's extra, diba? So you have to make sure the project readiness as well, no? If you're sure that you can implement that project within the year and you have considered all of the procurement timelines within your agency, so you should be able to finish or complete that procurement activity on time and even that project itself, no? And then in 2020, total amount of contracts awarded accounts for a total percentage of 74.93. That's why it's 75, no? A round off talaga siya. Which is a bit higher than the previous year considering that the planned procurement projects were adjusted to realign priorities to procurement related to respond to COVID-19. So despite the pandemic and much needed logistics for the government, we're still left with the 25% which are not awarded. But of course, that's the first semester PMR. More likely, those that were not awarded will be implemented in the next semester. So, of course, there may be instance of cancellations and failed procurement due to the limits of the quarantine that we had that time. All right. So that's how we process descriptive and diagnostic data analytics. So I hope this may be interesting. I think it's not only the GPPBTSO who must do this, no. Um, well, we can consolidate the data that all of your submissions provide to us. No? We can consolidate it, but within your agency, please make it a practice to monitor and get as much procurement data as possible because it helps in your planning. No, it provides a better picture on how much is needed or in terms of the improvement or efficiency or what can we do to make it faster, more efficient. No, so you may be able to come up with realistic and actionable, no, or doable action plans, no, regarding to that. Why is procurement? Why do we treat procurement this way? By the way, why do we have to process all those data? So, are you able to deliver your goods and services to the public without procurement or without the supplies that you need? Of course not. Diba? So, how do you make your beneficiaries feel that your agency is providing its goods and services, public goods and services? Of course, you have to have your supplies, logistics. No? So for it to be felt by your beneficiaries. So every time that you have, you're encountering a problem in terms of um, um, efficiency in procurement, you have to also think of your beneficiaries. No? So if the procurement of those items very much needed by your beneficiaries are delayed, it's just as good as you're denying them the service, right? No? Because you're not able to provide it to them on time. So that's how important it is. So of course, as for the GPPB TSO, we continue to crunch all the numbers. So we always churn your data um, regularly, no, using the reports that you are submitting to us. So that's why when you prepare your reports, make sure that you take it seriously, diba? When we ask for a particular column applicable to that particular information, you have to provide to us that information. So that we'll be able to provide to you a more reliable and accurate representation of what your agency is doing or how is it doing with regards to procurement. All right. Now we go to reform initiatives in procurement reporting. So we have, what are those initiatives? It's what I mentioned in the title of our presentation. We have online blacklisting portal and automation of procurement reports forms. So what is the OBP or online blacklisting portal for those that have not yet used the system? So it's the electronic facility developed by the GPPBTSO allowing procuring entities to post issued blacklisting orders, no? Update the status of blacklisted entities, and of course, access information related to agency blacklisting. So as you post and upload all those blacklisting orders, it will the name of the supplier will be automatically be included in the consolidated blacklisting report in the website of the GPPB. And for you to be able to know more about OBP, let's process or let's start this video.
Have you ever wondered how sharing of issued blacklisting orders could be made easier for your agency? Well, with the Online Blacklisting Portal, or OBP, you are only one click away from posting and updating the status of your blacklisted entities and accessing information related to your agency's blacklisting history. Let me give you a quick walkthrough of the new OBP. To register, visit the link flashed on your screen. One registration per PE is allowed and only the official user can request for registration. After the successful registration, an alternate user can be added. Your registration
Ayaw. Ayaw mag-play. Wala akong tingin. Okay. Let's try. All right. And konti tayong technical issue with the video. But I do hope you'll be able to have an initial appreciation of the system. So basically, it's more efficient for you because you don't have to prepare something to submit to the GPPBTSO. You just need to register and upload it in the online blacklisting portal to be able to provide information to us as to the inclusion of that supplier or contractor in the consolidated blacklisting report. Okay. So maybe we can just skip this, right? So we now move on to the automation of procurement reports forms. So the automation of procurement reports forms is an ongoing project of the GPPBTSO. Actually, we just had a culminating activity last October 25 to 26. No? It includes the design and development of a web-based application that will automate the generation and submission of procurement reports. So you don't have to manually attach it to the email because it's just electronic submission, right? So more than the electronic submission, you will now prepare that report and automatically have it approved, reviewed through that web-based application. So what are the plans, no? So as early as February 2022, we're able to um, sign an agreement with the UNODC, no, or the United Nations Office for Drugs and Crime, no, and approval of the pilot testing of the revised procurement reports, and then pilot testing and validation exercise, and then the culminating activity we just held recently. All right. So in 2023 to 2026, that will be series of rollout or implementation of the system because we expect that by 2023, the consultant will be able to finish or turn over to the GPPBTSO the designed and developed web or online application for the automation of procurement reports. So we will be doing it by batches. All right. So to know more, let's see if this video will play in full.
Driven by commitment to transparency, accountability, and public service, the Government Procurement Policy Board Technical Support Office continues to develop modern-day solutions to the increasing demand for open and up-to-date procurement information, essential in promoting a more innovative, responsive, agile, and sustainable public procurement system. True to its mandate and principles, the GPPB, through its TSO, is developing a web-based application that would use a reliable, accessible, and user-friendly technology to provide cutting-edge and effective solutions through the automated processing and updating of procurement data. The future of government procurement starts now.
All right, so that's one of our teasers for the automation of the procurement reports. And maybe a few months from now, we'll be able to see a simulated system already. So you have a picture idea on how it works. Okay? So now we move on to summary. So in sum, no, descriptive and diagnostic procurement data analytics serves as both as valuable information for bidders and procuring entities. No? And it helps us look at the bigger picture of procurement systems and how it affects the supply chain. Baka naglobat. Next slide, please. So it's just a summary. No? So the online blacklisting portal is one of the reform initiatives which enables interested parties to get real-time and up-to-date information when it comes to the blacklisted entities based on the posted information by procuring entities. So as soon as they posted it or uploaded it, their names there, it will automatically be generated or be included in the consolidated blacklisting report, which is a very important information, especially for those procuring entities post-qualifying and evaluating their suppliers or bidders. And then the automation of procurement reports forms is a promising innovative solution for procuring entities to monitor and evaluate their respective procurement systems using a web-based application. So you won't be able to have, you don't need to prepare reports separately. No, you don't need to prepare them or manually as we move on. So of course, you have initial data entry on that. You have to still enter the data, but at the start, the beginning, and then the rest you just update. No, as long as your information is updated, there you can automatically translate it into a report. No, print it as a printable report already and have it approved. No, and reviewed as well online. All right. So I do hope that you're able to appreciate what our division is currently doing when it comes to data analytics and, of course, the online blacklisting portal and the automation of procurement reports. So thank you so much for listening, and you do have a great day ahead.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Kat, for that very informative and comprehensive discussion on government procurement patterns for better supplier participation. Excuse me. I'll just take out my mask. Better supplier participation, the OBP, and the ongoing automation of procurement report. So if you have questions on the topic presented by Ma'am Kat, please do drop them at the Zoom chat box. And for our online viewers also, please feel free to drop your questions. All right, so let's resume. Okay, are we ready for the trivia question? What do you want? Easy, medium, or hard question? Hard? Okay, so let's go. Ma'am Janelle, how many prizes can they avail for this time? Okay, one lang. Okay, so for the question, can you name at least one procurement reporting reforms that was introduced by Ma'am Katrina? So for our on-site, please use your QR codes. Register under your QR codes so that our facilitator can filter your answers. So we would like to remind again that our participants' questions, which are initially gathered from our Q&A facility, chat box, and Facebook and YouTube live comments section, are filtered as our source speakers shall only be answering questions related to our plenary discussion. So as they will filter, our facilitator will filter the winner. So I'm sorry for that technical error, pero on our do we have extra prize for our on-site? By the way, the initial question is for our on-site, and then we will be having, or we will be posting A trivia question on our Slido. So, are you ready? For our Slido trivia question, what is the theme of the FY 2022 Procurement Summit? Yan. So, since yesterday and it was already on our banner outside, can we answer it na? Yun nga lang, sir. We will answer or answers or the winners, answers of the winner will be filtered via our Slido. So, okay. While you are answering our trivia question, let us now proceed and maybe call on again our resource speaker, Ma'am Katrina Paala, to join us on stage, ma'am, for our open forum. So the winner of our trivia question will be announced later after our open forum, our Q&A to our resource speaker. Ma'am, please. So, from our on-site participants, please feel free to post your question. Sige, habang nag-iisip kayo ng questions nyo, by the way, allow me to correct my introduction to our resource speaker pala kanina. She's not pursuing her master's degree, but she already earned it. Congratulations, ma'am. Just 10 days ago. So she already had her master's degree from the PMD of the. So anyone from the on-site participant for your question? Yes, sir. Please feel free to go to the microphone. Can you name your agency first, sir, and then your name?
Good morning. My name is Rafael Bilisano from the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples.
Yes, sir.
My question now is regarding the accomplishment, compliance on the submission of APP. Um, for the past 2 years kasi, we complied with the submission of APP. However, during the report, we we received report na we are not compliant daw with the submission. We received naman yung acknowledgement from the JPPP. However, yun nga po, tinatanong kami ng aming mga bosses sa agency namin bakit daw hindi kami compliant. So paano po how come that
Thank you very much, sir, for that question because it's also been the questions of a lot of the messages I've received almost every day. For the compliance with the annual procurement plan, although we refer to the submission itself, meron po kasi tayong mga requirements aside from just the mere submission of the annual procurement plan. Before, deadline lang ang tinitignan eh. But because of the issuance of the GPPB circular, no, we have a GPPB circular on electronic submission. We require mga lima yun. We require submission. We base our submission compliance based on your the compliance with the following requirements. So number one, you have to provide to us the signed PDF format of that APP. And then aside from the PDF, we also need to have the Excel file. So as we all know, alam nyo na yung ginagawa natin sa Excel file. No? So we use it for processing the data. And then aside from that, we have to have an included certification that the APP was posted in the website. It has to be certified by the head of the Bids and Awards Committee Secretariat. So we look into those things. And we also must check also if you are able to submit to the correct email address. So the mere submission to the wrong email address already constitutes non-compliance. Medyo nag-strict. Di ba? No? As we have dedicated email addresses for each of the procurement reports that we receive. So, of course, because of the volume of the reports we're receiving, we have to make it as organized as possible. So, if you have, for example, you have all the requirements, but you've submitted it for the email address designated for APCPI, it's no longer compliant. So, that's why many agencies are wondering, no? They submitted already before the deadline. It's already signed, but they were not able to be included in the list of our compliant agencies. So it may be the reason, sir. Maybe there is one requirement that was not complied with, but in case that you have the acknowledgement, no, and you see or you believe that you have complied with all of those requirements of the GPP BTSO, you might want to send us an email and include the acknowledgement receipt and the proof of compliance with that particular requirement so that we can revalidate. No? So, pwede naman po yun. You can request for the revalidation so that we will be able to check your submission again and see if na-compliant natin talaga siya. Kasi if you are able to comply, we will be adding the name of your agency in the list of the compliant procuring entities in terms of submission of the procurement reports. It's actually posted in our website. You just click on the monitoring tab. No? Makikita nyo po doon yung tinatawag namin positive list. Nandun po yung mga listahan po ng mga nag-comply with the submission. Yun po, sir. Thank you, sir. Tignan natin, sir, ha? Sige po.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Morning, ma'am.
Morning.
Attorney Vic Trinidad. I used to be with the MMDA and the ICT. We're talking about descriptive data analytics. No? I was just wondering, is it within the plans of the GPPB to at least provide the procuring entity, head of procuring entity, with a dashboard that will make him aware of the simple question: how many paper coupon bonds are we going to purchase within the year, and how much is the average in the NCR? And if we're going to talk about infrastructure, how much is a cement bag in the NCR? Given that the PhilJeps and the GPPB is the repository of all data, no? So I was just wondering, why are we not requiring the agencies to provide us with those data insofar as the common use at the least, no, is concerned within the region, so that when we make a market study, we will have at least a guidepost on how much these things are. That's the first question, ma'am.
All right. So first question, ibig sabihin may kasunod. Thank you very much, sir. When it comes to those kinds of information, no, tama po bang, kasi the way I understand it, you want the information lang of your agency, or you just want the whole of the procurement
At least the region, ma'am,
information?
so that we would have
As a region po ninyo.
kasi ma'am, lahat tayo nagpo-post sa PhilJeps, di ba? Sana at least nire-require yung resulta ng abstract of yung resulta ng bidding sa lahat ng mga agencies, so that we have an average knowledge of how much is it in the region, para alam natin when we're purchasing, Sandali, sobra yata to sa average eh. So, medyo tatamaan tayo sa COA. Yun lang naman yung gusto nating malaman.
Well,
Kaya ba ng ating computer program as of the moment? Or are you planning to do that?
as of the moment po, I cannot confirm kasi po yung ating automation is still in the pipeline. Parang ano pa lang kasi siya, magsa-start pa lang po, no? But included in the technical specifications of that project is the data um, needed by the procuring entity when it comes to its own procurement. So, halimbawa, nag-login kayo, no? You're able to see a dashboard of your own procurement information there. But we also have intending to have a dashboard also consolidated naman of all the agencies. In terms of that per region basis, baka I cannot promise that na magkakaroon ng per region. But siguro po, we can consider, siguro later on, no, kapag po naka-develop na natin yung system, tignan natin kung ano po yung mapaprocess natin. Kasi when we speak of open data, raw data din yan eh, no, that you can process as an interested party. Pwede nyo pong i-process po yon, download nyo, i-process nyo, no, para makita nyo po yung hinahanap nating analysis or analytics. So for now, hindi ko po mako-confirm. But as soon as nagde-develop na siya or baka in the middle, then we might be able to provide to you a regional regional or region-based data. Siguro pag nag-build up na yan, sir. Kasi ngayon, hindi pa natin talaga madidetermine kasi ang nasa ano lang natin is, syempre, procurement activities nyo. And then the consolidated that we have. So, as per the per region basis, tignan po natin. Sa ngayon po, hindi pa po natin talaga na-contemplate yung per region.
Thank you,
But
ma'am.
siguro later on, magkakaroon po tayo. Tignan po, makikita po natin.
Mababa yung corruption pagdating doon kasi makikita mo na yung
Meron na.
average price eh, di ba?
Yes.
Next question, ma'am, yung NFCC. Sana yung ating mga nananalo sa bidders, no? Napopost din natin at amount nung project nila. Kasi when we're computing the exposure of an individual bidder, no, they're supposed to declare their projects and in the computation. Kung hindi natin ginagawa in real time, hindi natin malalaman na ang dami niya palang kinukuhang projects. And kinakaiting niya lang yung pera within the year. So nagsasuffer yung compliance niya. So kung marami siyang kinukuhang kontrata, na-expose siya ng mas malaki. Hindi rin niya nagagawa yung dapat niyang gawin within the time frame na pinangako niya. If we don't have a data insofar as that is concerned, hindi natin siya makikita na overexposed na pala siya, ma'am. Are we going to do that in the next future?
Siguro sir, for now, sa PhilJeps po kasi we were able to view the award information. Andun na po yung information as to the winning or kung sino yung mga entities who are given the contract award. And then andun din po yung amount ng award. So, personally, I could recommend to you to check PhilJeps for that kasi nandun naman po yung information. And then, dun sa list of the ongoing and completed contracts naman po ni bidder, makikita nyo naman po doon kung ano-ano po yung mga projects na hawak ni, sino po ba to? Consultant, no? Consultant, supplier, or contractor ninyo. Kaya po tayo may statement of ongoing and completed contracts. Doon nyo po makikita siya dapat, di ba po?
Minsan
So,
kasi hindi naman sinasabi lahat.
Ang totoo ay.
Diba? So how do you do that in post-quad?
So gusto nyo yung talagang galing mismo sa agency na
diba?
nakapost.
Makikita natin na overexposed pala siya. Last
exposure.
question, ma'am.
Sige.
Insofar as omnibus
Sige, sir.
statement is concerned, we ask the bidders to attest that they are compliant with the labor
Yes.
standards, SSS, NLRC, pag-ibig, etc. Pag-propose ko, ma'am, hindi na minsan tinitingnan eh. Kung totoo ba talaga yung wala siyang SSS cases or pag-ibig deficiencies. And we ask them if they just issue us a certification. But we do not know, or we have to go through manually the checking. Hindi ba tayo magkakaroon ng isang database ng lahat ng mga may kaso or mayroong problema sa SSS, etc. Doon sa mga hinihingi nating statements, no? They're actually swearing it at the penalty of perjury. So that when we do the post-qua, isang portal na lang titingnan natin, tatype na lang natin. Parang blacklisting din lang eh. Sino ba talaga yung nagbabayad sa SSS, pag-ibig, etc. ng labor standard requirements para hindi na nating kunin as bidders yung mga non-compliant na mga tao or mga bidders talaga. Sana
Maganda po
buksan
yan.
natin yung data silos ng SEC, BIR, etc., NLRC para na pag-post-qua, automated na rin tayo.
Kasi po yung ano po yan mangyayari po niyan, sir, you will be subjecting all of your suppliers to data sharing yung kanilang information, no? Information galing kay sa other entities like SSS, Pag-ibig. So you have to have a data sharing, sort of data sharing agreement like what the SEC is doing now or the SEC is doing now. That may be a long shot. Long shot po yan, sir, kasi kailangan natin dyan consolidated lahat ng mga data from those entities
All you need is a policy from GPPB that says all government contractors are supposed to sign this so that we can share the data and reveal the data to the government, because after all, that's the reason why we want to know who we are dealing with, diba? So let them sign it by the policy of the GPPB.
Baka po hindi lang GPPB, sir, yun. Kasi nga po, it included other related laws and rules when it comes to data sharing may kanya-kanya po kasi yan, rules and protocols. So siguro for now, sir, baka kailangan nating i-improve yung ating post-qualification process when it comes to checking. Kasi po, according to other procuring entities, nagagawa naman din po nila yun. So baka there might be something within your internal process for you to be able to improve yung pagpapapost-qual nyo para kumbaga makover nyo po yung ating hinahanap na dapat po compliant po sila. No? So, yung po, sir, sa ngayon, you have to improve muna. Baka po sa internal nyo po kasi yan Kasi po yung ganon na data sharing, medyo complicated po yun. It's a complicated matter. You have to engage everyone. No? And maybe in the long shot, baka in the long run, no, in the future, baka po magkaroon tayo ng iisang sistema na lang po dahil I'm sure it's part of our ICT framework to ensure interoperability of the systems na yung systems for example, ni PSA may be able to be shared already to the recruiters or sa di ba? Or sa when we hire people, baka meron ng sharing from CSC as well. Or magkakaroon na ng sharing sa GSIS records and all of that. No, but for now kasi talagang kanya-kanyang data centers po yan and data houses, and maybe it may become medyo complicated po. Pero it may be so. In the future po, baka if we improve our ICT framework, if we already able to consolidate our systems into just one pipeline, which is iba-ibang agency po yung involved, and magtutulungan po ang lahat kasi hindi lang naman po dapat ito ay sa GPPB lang kasi yung information na yun nanggagaling sa iba-ibang agencies, then pwede po sigurong ma-achieve natin yun. But for now, dapat po ma-improve na lang po natin yung ating process in terms of post-qualification kasi kanya-kanyang discretion po ng procuring entity po yan paano niya gagawin yung post-qualification. In some of the agencies that we've had check or validated with, meron silang procedure for that Naka-set na yung kanilang protocols when it comes to post-qualification. How they do that, no? Ano yung mga check, ano yung titignan. So, maybe from there, no? So, dun muna sa mga respective agencies po ninyo. So, yun po siguro one of the ways to improve.
Okay, ma'am, ako na lang.
Yes, sir.
When I looked at your list or
Yes.
this blacklisting portal, it comes into my mind, although we haven't experienced it so far, no? And I think we are a little bit hesitant to post, perhaps, no? I asked my secretariat staff dito sa Bacolod, if based on your experience, have you experienced that there are already suppliers that have been blacklisted and raised some legal concerns after they have been in the list? And what would be the possible defense for us in case that we would be posting the same thing in the portal? Thank you.
So you mean legal concerns kapag po na-blacklist sila? Defense. Kasi po, as far as the blacklisting is concerned, it should be the final decision already. Kasi meron po tayong tinatawag na, meron po kasi tayong blacklisting during contract competitive bidding, and then meron din tayong blacklisting during contract implementation. If it's contract implementation, you have to go through, the bidder will have to go through and the procuring entity to contract termination procedure. So from there, nandun na yung due process, sir, in the middle dun sa due process on the part of the bidder. So, kapag po sila ay naba-blacklist, ibig sabihin nun ay na-exhaust na po lahat ng possible administrative remedies or kung ano man ang remedy para po dun sa, para po ma-settle, no? Or madinig yung pong case ni bidder. There may be instances na pag sila po ay naba-blacklist at talagang hindi nagkasundo, nagkakaroon ng arbitration. Nauuwi sa ganun, no? Nagkakaroon din po ng, yun nga, parang legal, later on, nagkakaroon ng kaso nga, no? Yun po. So, with that respect, in relation to the portal, yung pong tinatanong nyo po kanina na kapag po na-blacklist sa portal ay nagkakaroon ng legal concern, wala naman po so far kami na experience. Kasi nga po, before even the procuring entity arrive at that decision, nag-usap na yan. Nag-hearing na sila, no? Nagkaroon na ng position papers and all, no? Nagginawa na nila yung process. No? So, prior to that blacklisting naman po, dahil nagawa na po yun, nagkaroon na po ng decision. So, ang next po talaga niyan, pag blacklisted, i-upload na siya ni procuring entity. So, yung pong pag-upload is for the information naman po. So, yun po, requirement talaga under the rules na kailangan pinopost natin yung ating mga blacklisted entities.
You know, because based on experience, at times they would say, pwede kaming ma-blacklist sa region, but not in the national. Could that be possible?
Hindi po, wala pong ganun. Pag blacklisted po kayo, blacklisted po talaga kayo for that duration. Hindi talaga kayo hindi talaga makakapag-bid si bidder nun. So, yes, sir.
Roland Caldit po from Intellectual Property Office.
Mm-mm.
In connection lang dun sa sinasabi ni Sir, actually may experience kaming ganun, na blacklist siya pero nag-submit pa rin siya sa amin ng proposal. Kaya nagkanda kami ng inquiry sa GPPB tsaka sa PhilJeps kasi yung PhilJeps niya nakapag-submit naman sila. Tapos na-check namin sa GPPB, nasa blacklisted siya na merchant pero sa PhilJeps hindi siya naka-blacklist. Paano po yung ganun nun?
Hindi po kasi po, kaya nga po tayo may omnibus, di ba? Nag-promise dun si bidder na hindi siya blacklisted. So, that means misrepresentation yun.
Yun na nga,
Nag-misrepresent sa inyo si bidder, nagpanggap siya na siya ay pwede pang mag-bid when in fact blacklisted na siya. So, you may be able to have enough grounds para ma-blacklist siya. So, yun po ang remedy natin doon. Blacklist natin si bidder. In that case, para hindi na siya makapagkalat ng di ba? Hindi na siya maka-violate or hindi na po siya ma-awardan, no? Dahil nga po siya yun nga po yung purpose kaya pag nagba-blacklist tayo, pinopost natin para alam po ng mga ibang agencies din na sila ay blacklisted na and wala nang recourse talaga dun si bidder na magta-try pa siyang mag-bid ulit and all, no?
Follow up lang, ma'am.
Oh.
Pero since ma'am kung ganun talaga na di ba dapat na-inform, since na-inform din si supplier na blacklisted na siya, then how come ang lakas pa rin ang loob nila na?
Meron pong ganun talaga Ibig sabihin nun, magaling yun. We have encountered such procuring entities before, di ba? Historically, may mga ganun talaga po. Siguro, in terms of their capacity din, siguro they have enough funding for lawyers. Kahit na mayat-maya silang magsampa ng kaso, okay lang. So, it depends. Hindi naman natin makakover. We can't really read the minds of the bidders. May bidders talagang magagaling at talagang siguro ang legal team niya puro mga highly qualified lawyers, no? Magagaling siguro or they are really used to legal battles, di ba? So may mga ganun talaga tayo may encounter. But that's just siguro kung titignan, minimal lang yun. Hindi naman siya laging nangyayari, kumbaga. Isolated case yun usually.
Yes, and thank you for our on-site participants. Another, ma'am, last question from our Zoom. Ma'am, I'm sorry, but due to our time constraint, we will entertain. But however, you may send your question po via our slide.com using the code FY 2022 Proc Summit BS6. So that's it po. So for our last question po, in simple statements, can you clarify, ma'am, how our data analytics on our agency and with that of other agency redound to better supplier participation?
Parang na-discuss ko na po siya.
In
Kasi nga
simpler
po,
terms daw,
no?
ma'am.
Simpler terms. Paano pa natin simplify yun? Sige. Kasi nga po, no, using the data analytics examples that I've shown you, magkakaroon po tayo ng observation from that, di ba? So, nagkakaroon siya minsan ng trends and patterns if you really follow through the data. So, from there, sa observable trends and patterns, dun po natin nakikita yung picture nung procurement system ng whatever data set that we're looking at, no? Magkakaroon tayo kagaya ng ginawa natin kanina, 'di ba? We showed the data here, and then from there, makakabuo ka na ng mga conclusions, no? Observations regarding the performance, even the performance of the in terms of government procurement, makikita nyo na po siya doon. So siguro sa supplier end, no? Siguro like me, halimbawa supplier ako, no? And then I supply printers. Makikita mo, ay, malakas pala, 'di ba? No? So yun, no, sabi ko nga kanina, you'd be able to know the demand, no? Makikita niyo yung demand, ano yung kailangan ng gobyerno, no? And from there, makikita niyo din kung kailan nila kinakailangan yun. And so, using the data, magkakaroon na kayo ng informed decision. Ano yung kulog? Nakakaroon na kayo ng informed decision. And with the informed decision that you have, alam nyo na yung next step. Whether you want to participate to that bidder, that procuring entity, no, na ng competitive bidding nila, or anong mga projects ang pwede kong salihan. Diba? Pwede rin yun, no? And it's not just the data analytics nga po eh. Like what I mentioned earlier, you can even check the procurement reports of the procuring entities, no? Especially their planned procurement activities in their annual procurement plans. Makikita nyo na rin po yun. Ano yung mga kailangan specifically ng mga agencies. So I think, dun pa lang sa mga, with the little needs analysis, no? Based on what the reports are showing, no? Makikita nyo na, makaka-infer na kayo doon, makakapag-observe na kayo. And then from there, if you want to verify further, edi collect more data, 'di ba? Para makita ninyo. For example, you want to check, no? Whole year, the whole year of procurement niya, 'di ba? So, if we cover the whole year, edi follow through nyo yung agency na yon, tignan nyo kung ano yung mga ano pa nila, if they have changes in their procurement plans. Then look for the latest report. No? Kasi kaya nga po pinapapost po yan. Yun nga yung purpose. Diba? May gumugulong. Ayan. So, yun po siguro. Yun na po yung best kasi ginawa na natin siya kanina. So, baka na-miss lang po niya yung slide natin. Thank you po.
Thank you, ma'am. And that concludes our open forum. We thank you very much, Ma'am Katrina Paala, for that lead, for a very informative and comprehensive discussion on our session this morning. So before we end our session, may we call on the winner of our trivia question? At andito po yata siya on site. May we call on Mr. Alexis Dagdag? Yay. And sir, can you tell us what is the theme of this year's Procurement Summit as you answered our question po? Sir, can you use the microphone po?
I just look at my ID po and type the theme. building stronger supplier relationships towards innovative and sustainable public procurement.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. And may we call you on po on the stage for your prize to be given by our sponsor from the Sangfor company, Mr. Pre-Sales Manager of Sangfor, Mr. Ver Velarde. Medyo po, siguro dun po sa left side. Konting left. Ayan. Okay. Oo nga, sayang. Ayan, pogi pa. Okay, so as our session ends, let me provide you with some synthesis on our today's activity. We are now in our digital world, and data analytics is on our everyday life. And so, with our procurement, data analytics will greatly help the bidders, supply officers, and other interested parties, and of course, kayo, mga procuring entities, to understand various government procurement activity patterns within the supply chain. And using this descriptive analytics, the patterns and trends from the procurement data leads bidders and entities alike to make smarter, better, and well-informed decisions. So, and lastly, with our OBP or the online blacklisting portal and the ongoing automation procurement reporting reforms, it is one of the most or the most promising innovative solution for our procuring entities to monitor and evaluate your respective procurement systems using our web-based application. So with that, before we end our today's session, we would like to remind everyone again on our participants to please accomplish the evaluation form through Google Forms by visiting the link provided in our Zoom chat box and your QR codes, yung mga nandito po on site in your respective areas. So rest assured that the information gathered from you and from our resource speaker for this online training will be treated with utmost confidentiality, consistent with the provisions of the Data Privacy Acts. And on that note, that concludes the second day of our Procurement Summit first session. And this has been your facilitator, Lovell Sagid. Thank you very much and mabuhay to all. Ops, before we end, may we call on everyone at the stage for our group photo. Thank you po.
Sorry, Ma'am Lovell, instead of everyone going there at the platform,
Stage, yep.
na lang. And may I request the resources speaker to stay in front.
And then,
So, we take the picture from there na lang. Kasi medyo nahaharangan tayo nitong projector. So, may I request everyone to please stand.
Ito po tayo.